Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Hey everybody, welcome back out. It's Friday here at Giga-Texas. And as you can see by the skies, we've got a lot of rain, low clouds, some pretty strong winds sometimes, and much cooler. So it made for a little bit of a challenge for flying the drone around, but we did see a lot of things, and there's a couple of big discoveries that I want to talk about briefly in the intro. Before I get into that, just want to remind everybody that tomorrow, the 11th, is Veterans Day. So if you can, take the opportunity to say thank you to those who serve the United States and our country, and just all of the sacrifices that they do to ensure our freedoms. The second thing I just want to remind everybody, as you can see here, it's just 20 days until we get to the Cybertruck delivery event. And things around the site are starting to point more and more towards a great event. And like I said, we'll talk about some of that briefly. Before I get into that, the last thing I want to mention is that I'm going to be going down to watch the Starship launch. It looks like it's going to be next week, probably around the 15th or so. Still waiting to find out from the FAA at the time of this video of what the actual license is. But I just want to let you know that I'll be traveling down towards Starbase for that next week. Now, a couple of things, big things that I want to point out in the intro you'll see. First, as you can tell by these images, the first vertical steel assembly for the building extension on the south end is underway. And at the time of my drone flight, it was kind of a triangular section, one column grid point away from the perimeter grade beam. So that was kind of interesting to see that. And here's a couple other images of just what the activity down on that south end looks like. So pretty cool to see that extension finally coming to fruition. The last thing that I want to mention is that there were a lot of Cybertrucks on the site today. As you can see by these images, there were 2 over near the helicopter pad. There was 1 over by the superchargers getting supercharged. And then there were 10 in the outbound lot. And this is really great. So a minimum of 13 Cybertrucks outside the factory at the time of my drone flight. Now, I've also heard some rumors that there are many more inside the factory that have been finished, and these are all production Cybertrucks. At least 30 of them right now, maybe more. So great to see, and all the preparations for the Cybertruck delivery event are underway. So without further ado, let's get in the drone, let's fly around the site, and let's take a look at what's going on here at Giga-Texas today. As always, thank you very much for your support. I very much appreciate it. Have a good weekend.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Because of all the conditions, and also I want to show you what's going on the south end, I'm just giving you a quick view here of the west side, the end of line structure, the outbound lot, and continued work on some of the trenching for conduit and lighting. Also get a good idea of the amount of rain that we've had in the recent past, and a lot more is on the way today. But this is a good view quickly of how the west side looks today, and how the progress on the facilities is going. Now, as I turn back towards the main factory, we'll briefly cross over the highway and resume on the other side. But this is a good view from this perspective of how the inside looks on the third floor, all of the materials, equipment, and activity, how that main entrance looks as well, and also just how this entire west side of the building looks like from kind of this medium standoff distance. And you can tell that the floors, all of them here through the glass, have lights on, there's activity. So a lot of changes have happened setting up the general assembly lines 2 and 3 and additional equipment on all of the floors plus mezzanine level. We see here that the temporary lower platform has been relocated to this side, so both the taller and the shorter are now on the west side, away from that angled corner. This is a good view of some of the activity inside over those platforms. But we also see on the bottom of the screen here windows on those racks. So it looks like we may see some window replacement in and around where they're putting in that second story temporary platform. As I bring the drone up, I want to give you a good view of the south end. Not only the remnants of all the rain and the ponding, and also the geopier equipment that is idle. The crane for the CFA pile drilling has been completely disassembled and moved away. There's just that one remaining. And overall, how this entire south end looks. And just off to the right of the screen, you'll see all of the activity for the footings underway and the start of that steel structure. And we'll get in closer for a much more detailed view. But right now I'm going to bring the drone back down, give you a good look at the activity in the center section. You can see a lot of crews working on assembling more of those rebar cages for the footings. And it's a really good view here of the number that they've already finished, the work that's underway on the right-hand side to make more, and the workers on the left moving all of the rebar and putting it into place so that they can continue to assemble more. We also see more excavation work here for the footings, now passing the Stamping 2 extension center line. So they're really working towards the west, which would be where the drone is, and behind the drone at a fast rate despite all the rains. This is a really good low altitude view of how this looks and the construction that they are using to make these footings, excavating where the CFA piers are, and then doing the rebar and then the concrete and then the bases for the columns. And speaking of which, here is the first steel structure being erected here on the south end. As we've talked about before, the column bases are extended above the grade level, at least right now, about 1.5 to 2 meters tall. And then the triangular section of this steel structure is being installed. Now, one of the things that I found kind of interesting is you'll note that the angled corner of that triangle piece is one column width away from the perimeter grade beam. And you can see that other beam on the ground kind of resting right now between the structure and that perimeter grade beam. Not sure why they are constructing it in this particular manner, but it is an interesting development. You can also see quite a bit more of the steel has been moved from that northwest material staging location over to this area, and that means that we will see some pretty rapid assembly of this steel onto the column bases. We can see here more of the column bases being prepared for rebar. Some of the forms, some have been poured in concrete. And as we proceed over further to the center section, you can see that the rebar work and the excavation is pretty much basic for the footings now. So they're working from the right to the left of the screen, and eventually will be all the way across this south end. I brought the drone up higher in altitude to give you a good bird's eye perspective of how this is looking today, how it is progressing with the footing construction, and also where that steel structure, almost like the small cabana again, but it will eventually expand all the way through, and with the footings right at the base of the existing building, the structure that they're building now and the existing building will come together, and then there will be a contiguous roof, so it will look like one large contiguous building. And finally, this is just a good view of all of the steel and the work that is going on here on the south end. So pretty big news that the extension is finally underway. You can see a lot more of the broken down crates on the left-hand side of the screen. So more equipment has been moved inside, unpacked, and now they are getting rid of those crates. On the east side, multi-level parking garage construction site, again, a lot of the rains is very evident, but it looks like they are putting a dirt path on the left-hand side of the screen over where one of that long rectangular footings has been made. They're also working now in the center section, preparing for more of the footing construction and excavation. And here on the east side, we see some work going down into the basin here where water would flow next to where that riprap is. You can see that excavator. And also work continues with those steel pipes. I think those are being prepared to be installed, possibly where this kind of that dip is, where the water is right now. And then here we see the manifold has been completely covered over. There's two manhole accesses sticking up out of the ground, and then they're preparing that surface for a road. But overall, this is a pretty good view of what is going on here on the east side construction site. So I'm going to proceed over towards the testing and calibration lot. We see a lot of Model Ys today, which is a really great sign. And also we see two Cybertrucks here near the helicopter pad. I'll bring the drone in lower just so you can get a good view of how these look today. And here's a good zoom in. We've seen a couple of these here for the last maybe 4 or 5 days, and these may be the same ones. Some of them have been used for water ingress testing with the Rainmaker device, which is to the left just off screen. But this is a good view of these two Cybertrucks here. There were two individual Cybertrucks at the superchargers when I first flew by, but by the time I came back, the Cybertrucks that were supercharging had been moved off site. So at one point there were 4 different Cybertrucks on the testing and calibration lot, and that's in addition to what we will see in the outbound lot. So I want to also give you a good view and a sense of the front casting construction or manufacturing process. Here's a really good view of these. There are hundreds of these. I'm not sure exactly what the total number is, but this is a great view. So if you happen to count them up, let me know. But this is a significant growth of these number of front castings. Most of these have not been milled or trimmed yet, so they're basic castings right out of the Gigapress. But obviously they are feeling pretty good about the results with what they're getting out of the Gigapress, that they're making that many. It's also a good view of the covered receiving door structures that they've installed on the left-hand side of the screen. They're going to continue with these, and then they'll finish off that concrete apron. We see the white stain on the walls where it has stopped for the moment, working its way to the north. We see the work here for all of the electrical wires going through the conduit, and that will connect the building to the new electrical switchyard. And we see more of these castings being put out here on this section. So it looks to me like they are really pumping out a lot of the front castings for the Cybertruck. All the castings in the rack mounts are pretty much Model Ys. So they have almost all of the Gigapresses really going full steam today. Now here's a big change. You'll see where that Elite Refractory Services trailer is. It used to be over in that section that is now being cleared off. And it looks like they are preparing that section, either clearing it for some additional work, or maybe this is a signal that the large furnace on the inside of casting is nearing its final assembly, which is another milestone. In addition to that, we see the work here with the ducted fans, the ventilation shafts, those rectangular white items that have been cut into the roof and installed, and some of the ducting work that they are installing onto the ducted fans. This is all part of that furnace installation, so it's great to see that this is progressing quickly as well. So I'm going to fly off to the east and we're going to take a look at the outbound lot and some of the changes and developments here, specifically all of the Model Ys that you see and 10 Cybertrucks that have been grouped into this particular area. Here's a good view. Taking a look at the Cybertrucks here, I don't know if these are a mix of the release candidate ones and maybe some new ones, or if these are just the grouping of the release candidate ones. Some of them look like they've definitely been driven. Others are a little bit more clean. But as I mentioned in the intro, I've had word that there's well over 30 production Cybertrucks that are being stored temporarily inside the building right now. So maybe they have a process where they're putting the older release candidates outside and they're keeping all the production for the customers on the inside right now. But anyway, it's really great to see 10 Cybertrucks all grouped together in the outbound lot. And I'm going to maneuver the drone around and give you a good view lower end of what the Cybertrucks look like, and then more of the outbound lot. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of Model Ys on the outbound lot, also the testing calibration lot. This gives you a really good sense of how many. The production ramp for Model Y is clearly increasing now. I don't know what the weekly number is, but this is a significant increase, and it looks like it's near what we would be seeing back in the spring when they were closing in on 5,000 per week. So I don't know what that number is right now, but it's obvious that there is a lot of Model Ys being built today. The East Warehouse on Wheels lot looks very busy. This recycling yard also is busy. You can get a good sense of the work that they are done here, breaking down crates and other items and all being shipped off site for recycling. And here's another good view of this particular area. We see some of the workshops, some tents been erected, some of the concrete that is remaining from when it was broken up on the south end where that extension is being done. You see more of that concrete over here and more of the items around this particular side, as well as the contractor trailers that are responsible for constructing Giga-Texas and all the various projects. This is another recycling yard. As you can tell, they break down a lot of the crates here and prepare this for recycling, but they also do automobile body recycling. And there's a lot of Model Ys and 6 Cybertruck bodies here, all waiting for recycling. And I'll give you a good close-in view of what is going on here. On the left-hand side, you can see the 6 Cybertrucks bodies kind of stacked up on top of each other. One of them is upside down, and this is a really good view in of how that looks. This also gives you a good view of the Cybertruck body and the castings, both from the top and from the bottom, and how this is being done to construct these bodies. But this is a very fortunate opportunity to be able to see these bodies in this level of detail. And I hope that you enjoyed these kind of rare views that you don't really see anywhere else. So let's reposition near the battery cathode plant, and let's take a look at some of the activity over on this side of the site today. Between the die shop on the left and the battery cathode plant on the right, we have this alleyway that continues to get more and more concrete poured As you can see on the left, there's preparation on the right underneath where we just flew. Some more of the tanks on the left and the concrete. And then on the right, we see the repaired and strengthened mounts for these 4 nitrogen tanks on the right, right in the middle of the screen, and then they will be moved back over to those mounts. It's also a good view of some of the other work that is going on here on the chiller plant, and we see some of the Evapco fan units are operational as well. So really great to see the amount of progress that is going on here. We'll return to the north end of that west side here just a second, but I do want to come back here to the south end of the battery cathode plant, give you a good view into where the pneumatic blenders are on the left in that installation process. And then here on the east side, we can see that crash testing facility, that rounded top structure. We see the new water detention pond and some of the earthwork that continues to make sure that that is all framed out and prepared. And we also see more of the materials and items on the left-hand side of the screen near the east side of the cathode plant. This clearing shows the 4 manifolds of these underground steel pipes, and that they're nearly connecting to the water management or detention pond. And then this will probably be one of the main drains to help drain the water out of this pond when we get heavy rains. We also see a lot of detail here. The wade pit is a lot of water from the rains. We see some trench work for some blue water pipes just to the south of that cell test and recycling lab. And then here on the northeast side, this gives you a good sense of all the materials and other items that are temporarily stored here, plus a few of the workshops as well. And on the north end of the building, we can see the 5 receiving doors, that ramp with the vehicles on it. A lot of the water from all the rains, but also the lift station here with these concrete vaults and some of those green pipes. The pipe work that was being done in a trench in the middle of the screen has been filled back in. And then now we see geotextile membrane on the right with fill dirt on top. And then we see what looks to be form work and rebar work for concrete at the base of that battery cathode plant being done pretty much the length of that structure. As I pull away to the northwest, this gives you a good view of how this entire site looks from this perspective. A lot more of those steel corrugated pipes waiting for installation as well. And of course the work here in the middle and bottom of the screen where we see the berm being extended, and underneath this area they've had more of those steel corrugated pipes installed for the water management system. We have talked about this before, but where that truck is going in on the left, these large sections of concrete have been cut out of the slab, and it suggests that they're doing some rework in there, possibly for some new equipment. So not sure exactly what that is, but it's interesting to see that that is underway and continuing. As we maneuver back towards the electrical switch yard, this is a good view of the main factory and where the stain work has not been finished yet, that gray and then the rest of the white. And then of course the new electrical switch yard is mostly completed. They're just waiting to get the second transformer online, and that's related to the wires that we saw on the east side of the casting machine structure. The north end here with that pole, and you see those black wires coming up, and some of the other devices here. It looks like most of the work is done. On my previous video, they were doing some tests of the equipment, and it looks like those tests are now completed. As I fly up over the power lines towards the Megapack site, we can get a good sense of the work that is going on here today. I'll bring the drone down and then we'll get a chance to see on this north end where the dirt is still without gravel. That's where they have those wires that connect to that north pole that we just saw. And also some more work on the electrical components here underneath the drone. The Megapack site itself looks like it's pretty much complete. All of the work on the associated transformers looks completed too, and most of the doors are all shut. I want to show you here where it looks like more work is being done, excavation and some of the corrugated pipe for water management system underneath the power poles. And then here it looks like more of the gravel is being moved around this section to kind of flatten it out. They also use this for temporary parking for some of the transport vehicles and some other vehicles as well. As we cross over Tesla Road, I'm going to come back here to the northeast corner of the casting machine structure. A few things that I do want to show you. First, from the ground level, you can see where it's being cleared out in that middle section. That's where the Elite Refractory trailer used to be, and it kind of suggests that that furnace work may be completed, and they may be making room for some other items as well. As I move the drone around this side, I'll point the drone down. You can see that large conduit with the wires. That's the continuation of the wires that go to the electrical switch yard and to that east side of the casting machine structure, plus a lot of other items as well. And of course, on the north end, the paint shop is on the left, and the plastics manufacturing is here, these two doors on the left as we're just passing them. And then this section is where continued construction is underway to expand the 4680 production cell portion of the building. You can see the open sections where windows and wall panels were removed, and the wall panel removal section on the second floor directly ahead. You can see where there's another floor that's been installed, and additional work is going on inside as well. So there you go, a good look on this Friday of Giga-Texas. Big milestones on the south end, and the number of Cybertrucks is increasing. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.